Beneath the scorching sun of ancient Greece, the cries of newborns echoed through the marble halls of Sparta. But not every cry was meant to last. Here, perfection was not a gift of nature, it was a demand. Weakness had no place in this city of iron hearts. Infants were weighed, measured, and judged. Those deemed unfit were carried to the cold ravines of Mount Taygetus, where silence swallowed them whole. Before we dive into this chilling truth of humanity's darkest pursuit of perfection, make sure to subscribe, like, and join us as we unearth Sparta's most haunting legacy. In Sparta, the human body was not sacred, it was state property. Every heartbeat, every muscle, every birth was orchestrated for one purpose: war. From the moment a child was conceived, its fate was determined by the laws of Lycurgus, the legendary lawgiver. Love, compassion, or parental tenderness bowed before duty. The city's elders watched over reproduction like generals commanding an army, ensuring only the strongest bloodlines survived. A society obsessed with creating perfect warriors began at the womb, where the seeds of brutality were first sown. Spartan women were revered not for beauty or gentleness, but for endurance and strength. They were expected to give birth not to children, but to soldiers. From youth, they trained in wrestling, javelin throwing, and endurance races. Only strong women make strong men, the elders declared. When marriage came, it was not a matter of romance, but of eugenics. Matches were made not by the heart, but by the state, calculated to produce offspring worthy of the phalanx. Even intimacy was regulated, ensuring that passion never interfered with perfection. The infamous inspection of infants was a ritual of fear disguised as civic duty. After birth, mothers brought their babies before the council of elders. Naked, small, and shivering, each child was examined for deformities, weakness, or any flaw that might hinder the Spartan ideal. If approved, the child was returned to the mother for only a few short years. If rejected, it was abandoned in the wilderness, where nature would finish the judgment. In the name of strength, mercy was exiled from Sparta's soul. By age 7, the survivors of these brutal beginnings were torn from their mothers and thrown into the agoge, the state's training system that transformed boys into living weapons. They slept on reeds, ate little, spoke less, and learned to steal without being caught. The cruelty that began at birth did not end, it evolved. Whips replaced lullabies, and scars became medals. Each lash, each humiliation, was a tool of refinement. To survive was to earn the right to exist. To fail was to vanish, forgotten like the infants left at Taygetus. The breeding practices of Sparta extended beyond family walls. The state sanctioned selective unions to ensure the strongest offspring. Married women, if their husbands were deemed unfit or away in battle, could be ordered to conceive with another man of superior strength or valor. Adultery did not exist in Sparta, it was strategy. The body belonged to the polis, and procreation was an act of warfare. In this system, love was irrelevant. The only legacy worth leaving was a son capable of dying bravely. The obsession with perfection was so complete that even old men were summoned to breed if their vigor remained. The Spartans saw vitality as sacred currency, something that must never be wasted. For them, a body that could still fight or reproduce was a weapon in service of the state. The weak and the emotional were shamed. Pity was seen as treason. Humanity bent under the weight of militarism, and the cradle itself became a battlefield. The result of this brutal eugenic ideology was a society both admired and feared. While Athens celebrated art and philosophy, Sparta sculpted flesh and discipline. To outsiders, their warriors seemed superhuman, fearless, disciplined, unstoppable. But behind that legend lay generations of loss and cold calculation. Every perfect soldier came from a mother who learned not to cry when her infant was taken, from a city that measured life in strength alone. The glory of Sparta was paid for in silence. The women of Sparta carried an invisible burden. Though they held more rights than other Greek women, their freedom was a tool of the state. They trained their bodies to endure childbirth like battle, screamed through labor with pride, and handed their sons to the agoge without tears. "Come back with your shield, or on it," they told their husbands and children alike. Their voices echoed the iron heart of their homeland. Strength was both their power and their prison. Even love bowed before duty. Husbands and wives often lived apart, meeting only in darkness to conceive. Passion was to be hidden, controlled, weaponized. Some say it was to prevent emotional weakness. Others claim it made desire stronger, sharper, like a blade kept honed in the shadows. Either way, the line between humanity and machinery blurred. The Spartan state did not seek happiness, it sought invincibility. And to achieve that, it stripped away everything that made its people human. The agoge was not just training, it was transformation. Boys were taught to kill without hesitation, to endure pain without sound, and to suppress fear until it became instinct. They were starved, beaten, and thrown into combat games that ended in blood. At 12, they hunted slaves for practice. At 20, they became soldiers for life. The same state that discarded its weak infants had now forged gods of war, molded by cruelty, purified by pain. Yet behind every victory lay the ghosts of those sacrificed for perfection. The infants cast into the ravines, the women forced to breed, the boys broken by discipline. Sparta's strength was built on bones, and every triumph carried the echo of forgotten cries. Even the gods must have turned away from such devotion to violence. For how long can a nation thrive when compassion is treason and mercy a disease? Historians still debate how strictly these breeding practices were enforced. Some say they were more myth than law, exaggerated by rivals to demonize Sparta. Others insist the tales are true, citing records of inspections, arranged unions, and sanctioned couplings. Truth or legend, the message remains. Sparta's pursuit of perfection blurred the line between civilization and savagery. It forces us to ask, what price do we pay for strength? In the Spartan worldview, weakness was death, and emotion was weakness. A father's tears, a mother's pleas, a lover's grief, all were seen as poison to the state's iron will. This ideology hardened generations into living monuments of obedience. Yet beneath that armor of discipline, they were still human. Fear lived in their dreams, regret lingered in their silence. The tragedy of Sparta was not that it fell, but that it could never truly live. As centuries passed, even the might of Sparta began to crumble. Its rigid system, once its strength, became its cage. The same laws that bred warriors could not breed innovation or compassion. When the tides of history shifted, Sparta's perfection turned to dust. The city that had once ruled with terror now stood as a relic, its marble halls echoing only with memories of what was lost. Today, when we speak of Sparta, we speak of courage and discipline. But the darker truth often remains buried beneath admiration. We remember their soldiers, not their sacrifices. We praise their endurance, not their cruelty. The Spartan myth endures because it appeals to our desire for strength. Yet in that myth lies a warning. Perfection built on suffering can never last. In modern times, echoes of Sparta's ideals persist. Societies still chase physical perfection, strength over empathy, dominance over compassion. From sports to politics, the obsession with power often outweighs the value of humanity. Sparta's ghost lives on, in every system that praises endurance but punishes emotion. We may no longer throw our weak into ravines, but the spirit of the practice lingers in subtler forms. The story of Sparta reminds us that greatness without mercy becomes monstrous. Their breeding practices were not just physical, they were spiritual experiments in erasing weakness. But weakness, paradoxically, is what makes us human. It binds us, humbles us, connects us. When Sparta tried to breed it out, it bred out love itself. And that was the empire's true downfall, not defeat in battle, but the death of its heart. As the flames of history consume Sparta's legend, one image remains, a mother standing at the edge of Taygetus, her child in her arms. She looks to the cold sky, torn between love and law. In that moment, she embodies the eternal conflict between power and compassion. That image, the choice between cruelty and care, is the story of every civilization that has ever lived. So, when you hear the word Spartan, remember not only the warriors, but the price of their perfection. Remember the mothers, the children, the quiet tragedies behind the steel. For even in the city that worshipped strength, it was suffering that forged its legacy. If this story moved you, hit the like button, subscribe for more forgotten histories, and join us in the next video as we uncover another tale buried beneath the armor of time.